Alright guys, we're here today with another video in the series on King Henry IV Part 1.
Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Act 2 a little bit, and first off we're going to start with some characters, relationships, and some conflicts.
Alright, so the new characters we're introduced to in Act 2 are Lady Percy. Her name's Kate and she's Hotspur's wife. She wants her husband to confide in her. He's acting all secretive and she wants to know what's going on. There's two ways you can interpret their relationship, and it all really depends on how the actors portray the characters. One is that they're just joking around with each other, like they love each other so much that they're just joking around. And then the other way is that she really hates him, like he went too far and now she's just mad. Then we're introduced to some of the gang of thieves. Gad's Hill, he's the innkeeper and he's the informant for the thieves. He tells them when the travelers are going to show up to the area where they're going to get robbed. And then we're introduced to Bardolph and Peto, and they're part of Falstaff's gang of robbers.
So now let's talk a little bit about some conflicts we have. The first one we have is the prince versus the prince. The prince has to make the decision to grow up and become a more competent leader. He's gonna have to make a 180 in his life and become more noble. He's gotta stop with like the foolishness and his gang of thieves and friends he's hanging out with, and he's gotta grow up and start doing the right thing.
And then there's the prince versus king conflict, where Hal has to prove himself to his father that he's like grown up and he's going to be able to handle being king of all of England. The king's probably going to scold him for being so childish and hanging out with robbers and thieves, but he's going to have to prove that he's over that and he's going to be able to lead all of England.
The next conflict we have is the prince versus Hotspur. Hotspur will have to fight Hal for the throne since he's the current prince, and he is next in line. He's the heir to the throne once the king dies. If Hotspur wants to remove King Henry, he's going to have to fight Hal for the throne, and Hal acknowledges that he's nothing like Hotspur. He doesn't have his mentality, he's not hot-tempered, he might be a little childish, but he's capable of growing up and going through that transformation to become more noble.
Alright, then you have the Hotspur versus king conflict, where Hotspur, Worcester, and Northumberland are planning a rebellion against the king because they don't like him, pretty much. That's the short of it. Hotspur wants Mortimer to be ransomed from the Welsh, and King Henry doesn't want anything to do with that because Mortimer's the true heir to the throne as appointed by King Richard II. And this really bothers Hotspur, and he's working to try to get people to join his cause, and no one really wants anything to do with it, and this really bothers him.
So now we're going to move on and make a couple of predictions of our own. Now that King Henry is aware of the growing rebellion, we believe he's going to start putting together an army and a defense for himself. It's just kind of something he has to do. Well, Hotspur's wife is the sister of Mortimer. She's going to be so pissed with Hotspur, it sounds like, that since he hasn't been satisfying her needs in like many of the areas she likes to talk about, she kind of feels he doesn't love her anymore. And she's gonna somehow side with King Henry because of this, or reveal some part of Hotspur's plan that's gonna be crucial. And that's because he's been speaking about it in his sleep, but when he's awake, he tells her, ironically, "Oh, I can't tell you anything because girls talk too much and I don't trust you." Hotspur's gonna try and recruit as many people as he can for his side of the army, and because of the growing tensions, at some point, there's gonna be a huge battle that breaks out, or a fight, something along those lines, and Hotspur and his crew are gonna go head-to-head with King Henry and his crew.
And another prediction we have is that the winner of the battle is going to end up being the one that is going to get the throne, and it's going to end up being like a large, bloody battle. Prince Hal, he's going to have his reformation, as he said in his soliloquy back in Act 1. He's going to step up as the prince and have huge influence in the battle that we believe is going to happen. He's going to show that he is not who everyone thinks he is, but actually a courageous and wise young man.
About his buddy Falstaff, who now they're on an iffy relationship in Hal's opinion. The police of the time, they had come and tried to take Falstaff away after the robbery of the king's men, but Prince Hal assured them. He said that if it were Falstaff who did that, he would surely be punished. Multiple times throughout the act and the story overall, they have talked about Falstaff or just anyone in general being hung as a thief, jokingly. But however, this is we think that this is foreshadowing in a way of Falstaff's fate, and he's going to be found guilty, or he's going to mess up somewhere and he's going to be punished, and ironically he will be hung as a thief. And this is going to be a result of the prince going through this reformation we talk about, and it's going to be him kind of doing the right thing.
Also, Prince Hal started to promise all of his friends good positions in the army that his father's putting together. I believe this is going to have a negative effect because the prince's friends are young and reckless, and they're just trying to have a good time, and they're all just joking around. They may be good thieves, but somehow that isn't going to transfer over into their military career, and this could probably hurt King Henry's side.